How are we doing? So, if you've not been living under a rock, you'd have heard of this movie or this TV show, Adolescence. And honestly, my fiance and I watched this TV show like a week and a half ago. And to be honest with you, I felt like it was okay, mid. I wouldn't watch it again for free. But then this whole week, or and also a bit of last week, people have been making so much noise about it. People have written articles, the PMs have talked about it. Like, it's all over the news because apparently there's a lot of hidden wisdom in the show, which I didn't deep, right? Because honestly, when I watch TV shows, I don't try and find whatever the underlying meaning is. But apparently, this TV show was packed with a lot of underlying meaning and underlying topics to address. So, you know what? This is an article on The Guardian about the TV show. One of the first topics I've seen discussed a lot about this TV show is the role of a parent in a child's upbringing, right? Because the common consensus would be if your parents tell you what's good and what's bad, then more likely than not, you should end up a good person, right? And I don't believe that for a second, right? When I think about it, there's no bad thing I did when I was young. And when I mean bad, I mean like, I don't know, taking my brother's pencil or pen or whatever. There's no bad thing I did when I was young that I didn't know was bad, that I didn't know my parents have told me not to do, and that I didn't know would cause harm to someone else, right? So our actions do not reflect what our upbringing is or was, right? There's that saying, right? Pastors' children are the least behaved people you ever meet on earth. And there's a reason for that saying, because even as a pastor, even if you instill all the right traits into your kid, they could decide to ignore all of that and do whatever they want, right? It's almost like the only reason a child will end up a fuck up is because the parents allow them to, or the parents didn't raise them right. And I'm telling you, that is not the case, because I know households where the mom and dad would have 2 kids or 3 kids. One will end up on road doing rubbish, and the other 2 will end up fine, right? And there's no difference in how any of them was treated, but there will be different outcomes. That's the first time I'm seeing from this article and from people online. It's if this guy's dad told him good from bad, then he will not end up murdering someone. I mean, come on. Like, do I need to tell you not to kill someone for you to know not to kill someone? I don't like. It's a bit silly in my opinion. The next one I'm seeing is cyberbullying and the malign influence of social media. Again, cyberbullying. This is something I've not been able to get my head around, right? A lot of times, for some points, I can see where people are coming from, but to me, cyberbullying is the equivalent of, it's a privilege to be cyberbullied, right? That sounds wrong, but just put your phone off. Just don't go on social media, right? You can't bully me if I don't see what you're sending, right? You don't have to be on social media. And I know someone will make the argument that, well, our lives now on social media, like, you can go a day without going to Instagram. Like, nothing will happen to your life as a person, right? So cyberbullying, yes, people do bully people cyberly, but what do they really say? They insult in your comments, they make fun of you. Obviously, the kind of severe version of cyberbullying is if people start doxing you, posting your address, and posting like weird stuff about you. But if it's just like insults or stuff in your comments, then honestly, why can't you just put or close the app? What's stopping you from actually just closing the app? The next one is the malign influence of social media and the pressures that boys face in Britain today. Male rage, toxic masculinity, and online misogyny. More or less, it's trying to sort of say that due to these new male role models, Andrew Tate and the like, they are the ones that are influencing young boys to commit crimes like this. And I don't think that is a sensible equivalent, right? Let's think about it this way. Most guys growing up, or even right now, would play violent video games, right? Call of Duty, GTA, Gears of War, name it, right? There has been no correlation between playing violent video games and increase in violence in society, right? If this article was correct, that would be the case. Just because I enjoy killing people on GTA doesn't mean I want to go grab something and do it to people in real life, right? How we should think about it, right, is those people that will commit crimes would also more likely play video games that are violent, rather than those people who play video games will more likely commit crimes. There's no correlation. There's no causation. Like, that's how you should think about it. Toxic masculinity, right? This is a word that people talk about all the time. And I don't believe in toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. Is that how you pronounce it? I think so. And in my opinion, the traits that make a guy toxically masculine are the same traits that make a guy or enable the guy to be willing to put his life on the line to save his family, right? Toxic masculinity would always be on the context, right? Because when there's a burning building, right, and the family is still trapped in there, it is the toxic masculine guys that are going to go back into that building to try and save a baby or a kid or a woman or whatever, right? An old person. It is the toxic masculine guys that you want on the front line defending your country, who are willing to enact violence to defend your rights in the country where you live. Those are all toxic masculine guys, right? You cannot separate the pros and the cons of an attribute. The same attribute that allows me to be focused, willing to work long hours, it is the same attribute that also maybe makes me less emotional, less in touch with my feelings, even though I don't agree with that, but let's just go with that. Again, also as a lady, right? And as guys, we should understand this. The reason you like your girlfriend is because she's not like you, right? She's soft, nice, all of that stuff. But on the flip side, the same traits that enable her to be soft, nice, caring would also make her emotional, right? You can't have a soft, nice, caring girlfriend or fiance or partner. I don't think that person would be also emotional and more likely to cry, right? As a society, we're always trying to build the bear, right? We're always trying to build the perfect person, but you can't, right? Traits have the good and the bad. And again, I'm not sure how this nutter of a 13-year-old, him murdering someone, or is it 15? I think it's 15, whatever. Him murdering someone is toxic masculinity. It's just a nutter, right? He's just a weird person that killed someone. And the last point I will address is this one, where it's more or less saying that young people can be radicalized without anyone noticing. And this is very true. And again, like I said before, I don't think parents can stop it, right? Because you will be radicalized based on what's on your phone, right? Before it was based on your environment, right? So you would say, if I'm growing up in London in the bad part and my parents could see that I was going to become, I don't know, a drug dealer or whatever, they would literally just ship me back to Nigeria, right? And I could stay there for a bit until I grow up. But now, you can be radicalized based on having a phone. So how do you stop that? Parental controls don't work. And again, the onus will always be on the person. Do we believe that this kid did not know what he was doing was wrong? He did. And do we just accept as a society that there's actually some weird people out there and there's not much you can do about it? And the article keeps on emphasizing that parents should try and spot these early warning signals, right? Spot the point at which you can see a young boy going from being a normal kid to a teenage murderer. And how do you do that? Like, you can raise your kids right, tell them right from wrong, and all of that stuff. But for whatever reason, people just don't turn out well. What do you guys think in the comments? I think it's hard to say for me because it's more or less saying that if your parents are completely militant, they track your phone, they do all of this stuff, that you will turn out good. You still might turn out a nutter. I don't think any of that will reduce your chances of being a nutter as well. To conclude, to me, this was an average TV show, and I didn't find it that interesting because, I mean, once he were himself and we saw the video of him actually stabbing the girl, then there's no point of the TV show. And it's funny because obviously, if you're someone that is very sensitive, you would have noticed maybe the subtle lessons about misogyny and masculinity they try to put in the TV show. I just saw it as a dead TV show. But I'm also the same person that doesn't really feel any sort of microaggressions as well. So I'm not surprised I didn't pick up on any of that stuff. But you guys that did, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll speak to you in the next video.